Our learning target for this week is I can learn about Notan art and design my own Notan work of art. I'll know I've succeeded when I've used the elements of shape and color to create contrast in my own art. Japanese Notan gives the idea of light and dark, which can also be seen as contrast, or also positive space and negative space. In the picture that you see here, you'll notice a tree on a hill, and the positive space in this work of art is the tree and the hill, or the subject of the work of art, or the area of interest. The negative space is the part of the artwork that is around the subject, kind of like the space around whatever it is you've drawn. That's negative space. The word contrast in relation to art is the use of opposite elements. So you can think of, for Notan, light and dark, but it could also be small shapes and large shapes, or rough textures and smooth textures. Basically, contrast has to do with opposites. No matter what language, whether it's in Japanese or in English, Notan uses all three concepts. It's light and dark, or positive space and negative space. It is contrast. Note, we're also going to be using other elements of art to create these cool pieces. In order to create our Notan, we're going to need a few materials. Inside your art folders, I included some white paper from the art room and a piece of black paper. I want you to use one sheet of white paper and some of the black paper for this project. You're also going to need scissors and a glue stick or white Elmer's glue. Whatever you have will work great. All right, once you have your materials, it's time to get started. Notice that I'm using a black piece of paper that is not nearly as big as the ones you were given in your art folder. There's no need to use the entire thing, so you're going to need to either cut off part of the black paper, cut a strip off your black paper, much like I did here. You don't want to use the whole thing. All right, once I figured out the size of my paper, I'm going to lay it down on the white paper beneath it, and I'm just going to trace the corners. I'm tracing the corners so that I know exactly where my paper needs to end up. You can barely see them there, but I've got the 4 corners that I need. Next, I'm going to start figuring out the shapes, and Notan is all about interesting shapes. Now, it doesn't just have to be shapes. You could actually have a plan to create something specific. But I've decided my shapes are going to be organic. They're not geometric. They're really a more free-flowing organic shape. So as you can see, I'm carefully cutting out my shape. Notice that I'm going from one side of the paper and I'm carefully cutting out what I want to have on the reflection side or the contrasting side. All right, so I've cut out my shape. I'm going to lay my paper back down where it would be going inside my little corners, and I'm going to replace the shape that I cut out. I'm then going to open it like a door, and there I have created the first piece of Notan to have the light and the dark opposite each other, as you can see there. Once I have that, I'm going to glue down my little piece. I'm going to interrupt myself here just to show you with more detail how you're going to glue down your paper. So as you can see from this little picture, the shape cut out in the black has been turned over, or it has been opened like a book or opened like a door on the axis line. You'll see that line in red and it says axis, and that's where you're going to glue it down. So you're not needing to twist it or circle it around or anything other than when the shape is put back inside the paper, in the construction paper, and you open it up, that is how it is going to be glued down. You don't even need to draw a line on the axis because you're going to just use each edge of the shape and line it up with the edges of the construction paper and then glue it down. It might take a little bit of time to practice that and look at it, but you're going to want to make sure that you've done that. So before you glue it down, double check that you are putting glue on the correct side. You'll notice it opens like a book or like a door, and then you're going to want to add glue to the other side. So you're actually adding glue to the top since we've opened it, and now the top becomes the part that sits down on the paper. I'm then going to line it up just straight in line with where I cut it out, as though that's the hinge, or like if you like thinking of it like a book, the spine of the book. And that way it lines up with my paper as well, with my black paper. From there, I can start doing another design. Now, again, it's really up to you. There's a lot of ways to do this, and for some people, drawing it out first is a much better approach. You may certainly draw it out. Maybe you even have a certain design in mind, or you're wanting to create certain geometric shapes instead of organic shapes. That's totally up to you. So again, I've cut out another shape. I'm laying my black paper back inside the corners where I first had it. And it might get a little wrinkled. It's okay because you'll glue that down in the end. Laying my piece back in, opening it like a book or a door, and seeing exactly where that piece would go. From there, I'm going to add glue to the correct side. I've checked that to make sure. And I'm going to line up the black paper in the corners and then lay down the piece that I cut out. Now, it might not look spot on until you're at the very end because we haven't glued down the black paper yet. But we're gluing down the pieces from the inside just so they don't get lost and it's less confusing in the end. All right, I'm going to speed up the video so that you can see what it looks like as we complete this project. So now I have all of my shapes cut out and glued down, and I just need to glue down the starter piece of black paper that I used. This can be a little tricky depending on what shapes you cut out, but I'm carefully going around and adding glue so that it all sticks down. You'll notice that the pieces I cut are right there at the edges, just waiting to be joined with the other paper that's coming in, and it should line up pretty well. If it's not perfect, that's okay, of course. We are learning together. All right, I'm going to line it up in the corners first, and then slowly work my way, making sure that the paper stays straight. I might have a couple parts that don't line up exactly, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to do the best I can to get this all laid out. As you can see, it's coming together. This part's the most fun because suddenly you've created some really cool work of art. Definitely Notan in its best when you see the contrast of the black and the white. I'm just going to turn it over, give it a little back rub to let that glue stick, and there you have it. I am so excited to see what you create. Definitely take a picture and turn it in on Google Classroom. I've included this slide for you to use inside Google Classroom so that I can see your work.